Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today is the 20th of January, 2021. All right, everyone, let's get into it for today. So, just a quick shout out here. We crossed 1,000 subscribers on the Daily Gwei YouTube channel. So, thank you to all of you who have subscribed. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's really humbling. 1,000 started this a few weeks ago. It's really great. All the comments coming in. I love reading them. I love getting all the feedback. You can always feel free to DM me on Twitter and give me any feedback that you want there. But yeah, I have big plans for the channel. Obviously, I'll keep doing the daily refuels. I'm going to be doing the daily Gwei data pumps as well. I'm not doing this month's for various reasons. I'm going to do next month, which covers December and January. But the first episode that I did in December is actually out, and you can go watch that. You can find it on the channel. And that just basically does like on-chain analysis on Ethereum and within DeFi. So I'm going to be doing one in February that goes over December and January, which were big months. We had ETH2 go live, so I'm going to be looking into that. But that's going to be really exciting. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that, of course. And yeah, I've got a bunch of other videos that I have planned as well. It's just finding the time to make them. I really want to make some noob-friendly videos for basically everything in Ethereum. I think, I was looking through YouTube and there doesn't seem to be a very good what is Ethereum video. A lot of them are dated. A lot of them kind of like use old terminology. A lot of them don't even talk about DeFi. So I really just want to make these videos where I basically sit here like I do on the refuels. I go through like a slide deck and I just, kind of give a lecture, I guess you could call it. On these sorts of things. I also want to do video AMAs on Discord as well, where we can all just join. You can join a call. You can ask me anything you want, and I'll be happy to answer it. And then we can all kind of learn together. Because the whole point of the Daily Gwei and everything that I do, even at ETH Hub, is to educate, and I want to do as much of that as possible. So yeah, definitely look forward to seeing more of that on the channel, within the Discord, with on Twitter, of course, and everything like that. So be sure that you join the Discord channel too, so you don't miss that, and you can ask me questions in there anytime you want as well. All right, so Saddle Finance launched today, and this actually caused quite a stir within the community because what Saddle is, it's a new AMM specialized for pegged value crypto assets like tokenized Bitcoin and stablecoins. Essentially, it is like Curve, pretty much exactly like Curve. So much like Curve that they actually, I think, copied a lot of the code over. You can see Michael here, the founder of Curve, asking them why they copied the math one-to-one, and exploring the limits of IP laws when you could just derive the math for the same outcome. And yeah, there was a bit of drama here. Julian also works for the Curve team. He kind of had a go at Matt Lungo, who's an advisor to Saddle Finance here. So yeah, I think, we've had this discussion before on the refuel, and I wrote about it in the newsletter with the SushiSwap Uniswap drama, where you can't copy something that's open source. I know that some parts of Curve's code is not like totally open source, Compound's code is copyrighted. So that, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like actual open source stuff. Now, I think what Michael is implying here is that Saddle didn't actually copy the parts that are copyrighted or like under those kind of IP law protection. They're pushing the limits of that. But basically, the design is very similar. They're launching something that already kind of exists. So people are kind of questioning, why does this have to exist? Like, why do we need this when we already have Curve, which does the exact same thing? And I get that. There's always room for more. It's like asking, why does SushiSwap exist when we have Uniswap? Well, I've talked about this in the past. SushiSwap's doing different things. They're innovating in different areas. They're taking a different approach, right? They're taking a community-first approach, whereas Uniswap's taking a more like, team-first approach where they build a lot of the things in private and then release certain sort of stuff like that. So, there's always room for more, but at the same time, it just, Curve is huge, right? And it's loved by a lot of people. It's already being used so massively. They're innovating rapidly. So yeah, there was a question kind of around that, for sure. And then here, you can see that they had a lot of top tier investors as well. So, all these people tagged here are investors, and there's angels too. It's just crazy. Like, look at the amount of people here. The Framework Ventures, very popular DeFi investor. Polychain, very, very popular investor in crypto in general. Electric Capital, same thing. And then there's a bunch of angels in here. You have, other funds like Alameda Research, who's part of FTX, Coinbase, right? Dragonfly Cap. I mean, you basically got the who's who of funds, and then you have the who's who of angels, like Kane from Synthetics. You have Linda Shea, which is part of Scalar Capital, actually. So that's a fund. You have Robert Leshner through Robot Ventures, which is his fund. Spencer Noon, Andrew Kang. I mean, the list goes on, right? Like, there are so many kind of people here. Now, I think actually I might be getting a little bit confused. I don't know if they're tagging them in there to kind of bring attention to this new app, or if they're actually investors. Maybe they're not all investors, but I'm fairly certain that all these funds are investors or advisors. Here's Matt Lungo here. He's an advisor. So, they have the who's who of like the American crypto crowd on board here. And that's another red flag for people. Some people were calling it basically a heavily, VC kind of version of Curve, which, I mean, maybe, but Curve also has VCs and did an investment round before they went live and all that stuff. So, I don't know, it gets messy, right? People obviously don't like VCs in crypto for one reason or another. Not everyone. I have nothing against VCs. I mean, I do angel investing myself as well. Like, I have nothing against that sort of stuff. But, there are certain ways you can do it which feels better than other ways. Obviously, the community doesn't resonate with projects that come out of the gate, right? Copying another project, essentially, and raising money from, like, the who's who of funds within the space without, having a product live, doing a community kind of led thing. And this is going to be a very, powerful narrative going forward. I mean, SushiSwap is succeeding and he's growing so quickly because of the fact that it's community first. And maybe this doesn't matter in the end because, community is an important part, but it's not the only part of a product. But at the end of the day, you kind of got to expect this backlash if you do this sort of stuff. And I'm not trying to say that the project's bad or it's not going to succeed or anything, but I totally sympathize with this, like 100%, because no one wants their project to get forked or copied, right? And especially by maybe I guess they view this as kind of like a syndicate of like all these investors just jumping on the train to make some money. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but that's what, some people think that they are doing or what it feels like. So yeah, it's all about how you frame this sort of stuff. You can frame it in a positive light, a negative light. I'm sure if this went live, right, the app was out there, it had use for a while, blah, blah, blah. And then they said they raised money and they announced the raise and then they gave tokens to the community and everything, it would have gone down completely differently. But because it's so closed off and no one knew about this project till today, right? It wasn't public till today. People feel kind of like blindsided by it. And they also feel kind of like, well, I like Curve and this project feels like insider. I don't really want to support it. So there's a lot of that. And then on top of that, there was actually something that happened with the contract. It wasn't an exploit. I think there wasn't enough liquidity in their AMM exchange. So what ended up happening was that some savvy trader ended up arbing this and I think they made a profit of $148,000 here. I think from what I can see here, from what I'm understanding, yeah. I don't think it was an exploit, but I think that it was obviously not something that they implemented correctly on the product. So that just added kind of fuel to the fire, right? As well. So yeah, I woke up to this and I was trying to follow along and there was just so much drama. And then a couple of hours later, people stopped talking about it and I was like, okay. And then we were on to the next thing. There's a bit of drama around EIP 1559 and miners, as I discussed yesterday on yesterday's refuel. I won't rehash it here. But there was a lot going on there. So never a dull day in crypto, right? This is just really, really funny to see how it all plays out, right? Being an observer in crypto and not getting involved in the debates, like all the debates, is actually quite entertaining, for better or worse, because there's just always something new going on. So yeah, that's Saddle Finance. Maybe they succeed, they get volume, they get liquidity. We'll see how it goes, but obviously a very, dramatic launch, I guess you could say. So Spencer Noon put out this really great tweet thread today. He puts these out from time to time, but he basically starts it with 11 signs ETH is going to blow past its all-time high. And he has basically 11 tweets here with different Ethereum metrics and how how rapidly it's been growing. Now, I'm not going to go through them all, but basically you can see here that Ethereum is basically the network that settles the most transaction fees, which we've spoken about on the refuel before. The hash rate is at an all-time high. The miners are confident, even though that I guess like we're going off proof of work soon. This is because miners follow the money, as I explained yesterday. They're pure service providers, profit maximalists because they have to be, because they've got costs to cover. So of course they're going to come into the network when the ETH price is going up and the fees are like ridiculous, like the fee revenue. There are more than 1.25 million DeFi users. I do want to clarify this is, and I've mentioned this on the refill before, but this is what I was talking about when I said there was 1.25 million addresses that had interacted with DeFi protocols. And this doesn't cover every single DeFi protocol, but it covers the major ones, so it gives you a pretty good idea. But as I've said before, people have multiple addresses, right? You have to basically halve this, right? And then you can probably halve it again and get to like 250 or something like that, or 300,000 DeFi users. So still incredibly tiny there. And then, yeah, a bunch of other stats here. Monthly DEX volumes at all-time highs. I'll go through that later on, actually. And a bunch more here. I'll link this thread for you to check out. And you can also subscribe to Spencer's newsletter called Our Network, which publishes a weekly kind of newsletter with a bunch of different projects and on-chain analytics going on there and all these sorts of things, so you don't miss them. We'll see how it goes there. And there's this funny comment that I just read here. This all gets negated if BTC decides to dump, which sucks. And that's exactly what happened today. BTC decided to dump and ETH decided to dump with it. But I mean, that's just short-term kind of stuff. This is looking at the macro scale of things and like ETH's fundamentals and the Ethereum network's fundamentals that are going to mean that Ethereum keeps growing and ETH keeps going up in price. So really great thread from Spencer here. If you're not following him, go give him a follow. He's really great. He's been around the ecosystem for quite a while, and definitely go subscribe to the Our Network newsletter. So James Hancock, the ETH1 hard fork coordinator, is part of the core dev team, put out that the Berlin network upgrade coming for Ethereum, the next network upgrade, is almost ready. You can see it here that all the EIPs going in are pretty much finished for every major client except EIP 2930 for Geth, which I am assuming that, and there was a correction here that 2718 hasn't been merged for Geth either. So yeah, 2 green checks, which I'm assuming are going to be done promptly. And what this means is that the clients are ready to do the network upgrade. So we should see this go live within a matter of the next maybe, I guess normally, it's probably like a couple of months or like a few weeks, because you've got to give people notice, right, to upgrade their clients. You've got to make sure that everyone changes over and kind of update so that we can have this network upgrade go through, because it is a hard fork. But I tend to not like using the term hard fork, because in crypto, it basically means contentious network split. Because we all saw what happened with Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, then Bitcoin SV. There's been a bunch of other forks that go on, and a hard fork is normally negative. So that's why I call it a network upgrade, because this is not contentious. This is bringing in EIPs that kind of like improve the network, make things better for both developers and users and the health of the network. So yeah, really great to see that we're almost there. This is we were supposed to do Ethereum network upgrades every 6 months, but it's been over a year now, I think, since the last one. So we definitely want to get this in. And the reason why it's taken longer is because, as I've said before, the Ethereum network has grown larger. It's securing much more value. We need to move slower now. We can't move as fast as we once did with ETH1. ETH2 is still moving incredibly quickly, but that's okay, I think. I think this, and then, EIP 1559, and then maybe one more network upgrade after this will be it for ETH1. And then we'll just do the merge. And then, ETH1's kind of process will become part of ETH2. But, as a standalone ETH1, I think we've got 2 more network upgrades, 3 more, including EIP 1559 left. And then that's kind of it. I don't see another one going in before the merge. I think the merge if it needs to, maybe there are critical things that need to go in before the merge happens, and maybe I'm wrong there. But yeah, I'm not expecting the kind of rapid development and iteration on ETH1's protocol level that we've seen in the past, for the reasons I outlined. So Georgios Konstantinopoulos here put out a summary thread of Sigma Prime's post that they published just a few hours ago. So I was just talking about the ETH1 to ETH2 merger, and Georgios explains here that he's very excited about the merger. Because it's basically replacing Gets or Go Ethereum's ETH hash consensus engine, which is the proof of work engine, with one that's controlled by the Beacon Chain's validators, which is the proof of stake kind of architecture there. And for those who don't know who Georgios is, he's one of the best researchers in the space. He currently works at Paradigm, which is probably the best crypto asset investment firm in the entire space. They have a kick-ass team there, so he knows what he's talking about when it comes to this sort of stuff. And then he kind of gives a high-level change here. So yeah, the consensus engine change. There's going to allow the Beacon Chain to trigger reorgs according to the ETH2 rules. This is getting quite technical, but the peer-to-peer layer would be discarded and use the Beacon Chain peer-to-peer. The only caveat is that ETH2 validators will have to run ETH1 full nodes, which they are already doing anyway because that was part of the setup process if you were setting up an ETH2 validator. So basically, yeah, this is the merge, right? And this is already being worked on by all the teams in ETH2, and it is of the highest priority to get this done because we want to get off proof of work as soon as possible for a multitude of reasons, right? We want to lower that issuance to under 1% of ETH issuance. We want to get off, what the Ethereum community considers to be an extremely wasteful proof of work kind of consensus mechanism because of all the energy that it uses. And also, there's a lot of kind of hostility from the miners towards the Ethereum community now over certain things in terms of network upgrades, and they're trying to veto things like EIP 1559 and stuff like that because that's them taking a pay cut. And it's just weird to me because they knew this stuff was coming for a long time. I mean, 1559 is almost 3 years old probably at this point. They've known that proof of stake was always on the roadmap since Genesis. So they should have forecasted this into, if they were going to mine on the Ethereum network, they should know, okay, once ETH1 gets merged into ETH2 and it switches to proof of stake, are we going to just mine a different chain if we can? How profitable will that be? Are they going to maybe do their own fork, right? Because there's a lot of money riding on the line here. I actually think that there's a decent chance and that there will be a fork once the merger goes through, and the miners will continue the ETH1 chain, right, as like a separate chain, as a proof of work chain, and then try to get some exchanges to list this new kind of coin that they've created to make some money from it. I think there's a pretty decent chance of that happening just because of how much money's on the line with miners, and just because they can do that if they want to. So yeah, we'll have to see how that shakes out, but I don't think it really affects Ethereum at all. It just means that you would get, this new, maybe, I don't know, Ethereum classic coin or something like that, that you could sell for more ETH. I mean, that's a bonus, but it would cause a bit of drama, I think short-term drama, but it wouldn't cause any disruption to the Ethereum network because the actual Ethereum network and what is Ethereum, right, is going to be, ETH2 with ETH1 merged into it. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. I know I've bashed miners a lot lately, and I'm not. This isn't supposed to be personal against miners or anything like that. I respect them for what they are, but I've harped on a lot about it, and I feel very strongly about this, is that when you are a service provider and you're being paid for your services to the network, right, you don't get to cry poor. You don't get to veto network upgrades because, it's going to hurt your bottom line. Like, I'm sorry, but you're making, miners are making more money than anyone in this ecosystem right now. I don't get paid for, from the network. Ethereum core developers don't get paid from the network. Ethereum community members don't get paid from the network unless they're miners, right? The miner group is the only group that in Ethereum that gets paid by the network directly to provide a service. And because of that, they are fairly compensated. I do not think that they should wield, outsized power because of that. And they will, the game theory says that they will follow where the rest of the community goes. And, if they fork off, it's going to be a minority fork. It's going to be worth, basically nothing if no exchanges list it. And if some exchanges list it, it might be worth a little bit for some time, but then it'll drift off to nothing. Like, you cannot have a chain without community support, basically. Miners do not control the network. Doesn't matter how centralized mining becomes. that the miners themselves don't control the network from a game theory perspective, but the centralization of mining is a concern for nation states and stuff like that. But in terms of miners, they're just going to do what gives them the most money. They are profit maximalists to their core. They have operating expenditures that they have to deal with. They are going to mine what's profitable. They are not going to kick themselves off a profitable network, right? Just because they're making a little bit less money than they were before. They're still going to mine it. So that's kind of like a summary of the debates that I'm seeing happen everywhere. And yeah, I just think that, I mean, I get it. If someone was to say to you, oh, I'm going to cut your pay, even if it's just 10%, they come up to you and say, I'm going to cut your pay by 10%, right? Because it's healthier for the company, right? Of course, you're going to push back against that. But the thing is that usually when someone says that to you in a company, it's like kind of bullshit, right? Whereas with Ethereum and the network, EIP 1559, the benefits of that vastly outweigh the quote-unquote pay cut that miners are going to take. And in addition to that, miners are making too much money already, right? They're already making, way more than they ever thought they would because of the fee revenue. Which actually, if you go back to the Ethereum white paper, you can see that the fee revenue is just supposed to be a bonus. The miners are paid by the block rewards, and anything over that is a bonus. So really, when you forecast your expenditures when you're a miner, you shouldn't take fees into account at all because fees fluctuate. You don't know what the fees are. Whereas the Ethereum kind of block rewards, at least from for most of the time, remain the same. There have been reductions there, but that's because the price has gone up. So you need to forecast out, just in case there's a block reward reduction and the ETH price, and you also need to take out the fees from that. You cannot include fees in a forecast because you don't know what the fees are going to be. No one knew that the fees were going to blow up this much. So at this point, any of them crying poor is just, obviously complaining because they're going to take a little bit of a pay cut. So we'll see how that shakes out. I think 1559 is going to go in with no issues. This is just miners trying to get some people to feel sorry for them, I think, which, it is what it is. All right, on to some Set V2 protocol updates. So Set has been building V2 for quite a while now, and today they added a SushiSwap trade adapter, a Uniswap trade adapter, and Chainlink oracles for band, Hedgic, and Cover. This means that Set managers can now trade using Sushi and Uniswap liquidity and use these new Chainlink oracles to issue new sets, basically. So this is really cool. I mean, we've been working on this for a while at Set, this V2 rollout. So it's really cool to see that we've got these trade adapters out there for people to use. So if you're a developer, you can go use these right now. And as it says here, if you're a Set manager, you can use these. But the Set managers really right now are just, any developers that want to get set something up, the index co-op controls or manages the DeFi Pulse index as well. So like a Set manager for that. So that's kind of what we mean by managers. But yeah, you can go build your own kind of set and issue it, and then use set protocols infrastructure to do these sorts of things. So really cool to see that from Set today, or from from my team today. I was really excited to see this go live. So this flew under the radar today, and I don't know why. Loopring introduced a new feature called fast withdrawals for their layer 2 exchange. You can go from layer 2 to layer 1 in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. That's so amazing. Why aren't people making more noise about this? 30 seconds of a withdrawal from layer 2 to layer 1 is insane, right? That's like 2 Ethereum blocks. This just makes the user experience so seamless for this. And this is exactly what we need to get more user adoption. No one wants to wait an hour for withdrawals, right? No one wants to wait a long time. And the fact that you can do it within 30 seconds and it's still secure and it just feels so seamless is incredible. I mean, I love what Loopring is doing lately. They're just doing so much pioneering work here, and I just wish more people were talking about it and putting kind of like attention on this, because these guys are killing it right now. And kind of, I didn't see this till later in the day, and I'm like, why haven't I seen this yet? Like, why aren't people talking about this? So I shared it with a few of my friends. I'm like, guys, like this is amazing. Like, let's talk about this. And I got them a little bit excited too. So yeah, I mean, so I'm getting like too giddy right now, but this is the kind of stuff that I just love to see. This is the innovation that I love to see within Ethereum, solving these fundamental issues, right? Slow withdrawal times from layer 2 to layer 1 have been one of the biggest drawbacks that people have noted. for different implementations, and now you can do it within 30 seconds, which is nothing, right? We're already used to waiting, maybe 1, 2, 3 Ethereum blocks for our transactions to confirm, which is, an Ethereum block is 15 seconds on average. So basically, 2 Ethereum blocks, 30 seconds. We're used to kind of to waiting this, and this is to go from layer 2 to layer 1, right? You only need to do this when you want to interact with layer 1 protocols or do something on layer 1, whereas when you live in layer 2, I imagine eventually people will live in layer 2 and just stay there for most of the time. So the fact that you can go to layer 1 whenever you want in 30 seconds, even though you're going to stay in layer 2 for most of the time, is just like the cherry on top here. We're solving the fundamental scaling issues of Ethereum in real time. And I can't think of anything more exciting right now than what's happening in the layer 2 space. Because this is what's going to enable us to scale to the world. It's what's going to enable us to grow DeFi to trillions of dollars locked, right? Trillions of dollars of liquidity, basically take over everything, and Ethereum becomes the global settlement layer for all of finance. I just cannot understate how important this is to getting us to that vision. We need layer 2s. They're coming. They're here. They're getting better every day, and I just love that Loopring is doing this. So go try this out yourself. Go try the exchange on Loopring if you haven't yet. If you do anything today, I want you to do this. This is some homework for you guys. Go to Loopring's exchange. I'll link it in the YouTube description. Give it a try. Give it a whirl. Their onboarding experience is pretty straightforward. Not totally noob friendly, but it's definitely there for people who have used DeFi before. You'll understand what's going on. Definitely highly recommend going and checking that out. So Brave has integrated IPFS, so the interplanetary file system, into their browser. So that now they natively support it. So for any of you who use Brave, you can actually access IPFS links from the browser without having to install any extra extensions or anything like that, which is really, really cool. I mean, for those who don't know, IPFS is like this decentralized kind of web hosting service that's been around for quite a while. The IPFS team is actually the ones who built Filecoin as well. So a lot of websites, or a lot of, I guess, Ethereum websites and dApps, they go onto IPFS to decentralize their front end. So now you can access those with Brave, which is really cool. I mean, I don't use Brave. I'm using Chrome. I'm just used to Chrome, but I have Brave. I mean, I use Brave for some other things. I do have it open. It's a really great browser in general. It's got like the inbuilt ad blocker, right? You can tip BAT tokens to publishers and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't downloaded Brave, give it a try as a browser. It's pretty quick, pretty snappy, and now you can access IPFS links seamlessly through the app, which is really, really cool. So another tweet from Spencer Noon today that actually got me thinking, and I'll read out the whole tweet here because it's a dense one. So, quote, "I have no idea how to value ETH. What I do know is that it's an unprecedented asset that secures an unprecedented network and unlocks unprecedented use cases. Don't fall for superficial historical analogs from, quote, experts, end quote. It's false precision. Get comfortable with the uncertainty," end quote, on that tweet. So this got me thinking, because you don't want to be able to value ETH. Because once you can put a fundamental value on ETH, you can put a cap on its kind of, value accrual. You can put a cap on how high it can go. We don't want that, right? And I don't think we will be able to ever fundamentally value ETH because of the fact that the Ethereum network is so expressive, it's so generalized, and the ETH asset is so powerful that people will keep coming up with new use cases, new innovative use cases for the network and for ETH for decades to come. The next killer app could come in 10 years, right? We could be like taking over the world. Ethereum could be the global settlement layer. DeFi could be running the entire financial system. Maybe it doesn't happen in 10 years, but you get what I'm saying. And then a few years later, some young dev comes along and kind of does something that we never even thought was possible, right? So there's no way to value ETH. There's really no way to value it. All you can value is that, do you think this thing's going to change the world? Yes. Do you think ETH is going to capture this value? Yes. Staking, 1559, trustless collateral, right? We have those 3 core pillars of ETH value accrual. Do you think that there's going to be new use cases, going to be extreme demand for Ethereum going forward? Yes, because the total addressable market of finance, right, is the entire world. And Ethereum is more than finance, more than DeFi. It is a human coordination mechanism, the best one we've ever had, right? So, I mean, I don't know how you cannot be bullish on ETH at this point. I mean, like, I mean, I know I'm an ETH permabull, but like, come on. Like, if you see what's happening on Ethereum right now and you're not bullish on ETH, on the network, on the various DeFi tokens that are capturing this value, then I mean, a lot of people like to just be ignorant to this sort of stuff. They're blind. And, I know pretty much all of you watching this probably, don't fall into that camp because you're watching me rabble on about Ethereum all the time, right? So you're obsessed with it as I am. But basically, you, need to kind of, I guess, maybe shift your mental model from it's so, high now and like it can't go much higher than this, or like the market cap is like bigger than this, bigger than that, to, well, this is a brand new thing that we've never had before. It's literally revolutionary. No one knows how to value this stuff. I'll just ride the wave. Now, that's not investment advice. That's not me telling you to never sell, right? That's not me telling you to wait for like $100,000 ETH and then sell. That's me saying to you that we're going to have, these waves. We're going to have bull and bear cycles. That's going to keep happening. But the long-term value of ETH, and I truly believe this, is going to be in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And long-term, I'm talking decades, right? I'm not talking like a few months. That's why I gave my $10,000 ETH price target, right? And that's why I said it was actually my conservative target if Ethereum succeeds and fulfills everything that it's doing. Because ETH is just such an amazing asset, and the Ethereum network is such an amazing platform that is going to change the entire world. And it really will. I really, truly believe that. And I have believed that for a long time now. That's why I've dedicated my life to this stuff. So if you want to be along for the ride, you can buy ETH, of course, right? Or you can get involved in the Ethereum ecosystem in a number of different ways. And I encourage you to do so. Even if you can't go full time, do it part time. Do something, anything. You don't have to do anything big. I started by doing a weekly crypto newsletter when I wasn't working in crypto in early 2018, in the depths of the, not the depths of the bear market, but like the start of a 2-year bear market. And that was just a basic newsletter, right? It wasn't anything fancy. It only took me a few hours to put together each week. But, that's what got me started on my journey, and kind of like I am where I am now because of that, and because I stuck to it and I believed in it, and I'm sure a lot of you believe in it too. So if you have the time, maybe instead of sitting down watching Netflix, you do something in the Ethereum community. It doesn't matter what it is. You can write a blog post, you can make a video, you can start a podcast. It doesn't matter. You just need to stick to it. Like, take it from me. The first, when I did my newsletter, for a few months, I only had a couple hundred subscribers, right? But I kept at it because I believed in something. I believed in something greater than myself. I believed that I was adding value to people. And as long as you're adding value to people, that's all that matters in my eyes. So, I encourage you to get involved in any way you can. Make memes, right? Memes are cool. Memes are important. People love memes. I love the Ethereum memes account. I've mentioned them before. They're adding tons of value, right? They're bringing joy to people. That's what counts. So, as long as you're creating value, you're cool in my book. So really interesting tweet from Justin Drake today. When ETH was actually, not at $1,200 or $1,300 that it is right now, when it was at like $1,400, there was $3.8 billion worth of ETH in ETH2. And that has been deposited over 76 days. On average, that's been $50 million a day. It's 2.3% of the ETH supply. The makeup of it is one third of it is individuals, 1/3 of it is exchanges, and 1/3 of it is pools and whales. There's currently a 17-day activation queue, which hasn't gone to 0 so far. That means it's going to take, if you deposited ETH into ETH2 today, it would take 17 days to activate your validators. And Coinbase, Gemini, and Bitstamp have yet to enable deposits. So this is huge, right? ETH2 is huge. We all know it's huge. It's just growing every day. Last I checked, there's 2.8 million ETH in there. I expect that to grow up to 5 million over the next few months, especially as these exchanges come online. The centralized staking comes online, all this sort of stuff. So yeah, and ETH2 is chugging along. I know I don't talk about ETH2 that much on the refuel, and that's literally because it's going fine. It's chugging along just fine. There's no major incidents, research and developments happening behind the scenes. There's no deliverables yet because it's a lot of development still going on. But yeah, the development's there. It's chugging along, and we'll have more releases, I think, this year. I'm hoping that we get phase 1 this year and the merger next year, but we'll have to see. Maybe I'm being a bit too optimistic there, but it's only January, so we can see what happens there. All right, last thing to talk about, because this is getting a bit long now. It's at 35 minutes, almost 34 minutes. So basically, the centralized exchange volume for January is currently at $37.3 billion, which is a monthly all-time high by far. So those of you watching the video can see the chart here, right? I mean, the last all-time high month was in September, I think. Yep, September, which was the height of like DeFi mania. And it kind of went down after that a little bit, but has trended back up. And now in January, we have smashed through the records, and you know the exchanges kind of making the most volume here are Uniswap, Curve, and SushiSwap, from what I can see. And 0x is actually kind of inching up there as well, which is really cool to see. And there's 12 days left of January still, right? This 37.3 billion is probably going to be 50 billion by the time January is finished, especially if we keep having this price action and volatility and all this sort of stuff going on. So this is just incredible. I mean, decentralized exchange growth is the most incredible thing I think Ethereum has ever produced up until this point. They're basically used by everyone. They have an extremely strong product market fit. They have so many benefits over centralized exchanges. Yes, the fees are high. I get that, but I mean, Loopring has their exchange. You can go try that, right? Uniswap's going to go to layer 2. There's going to be all this stuff happening. And it just offers such a better experience, right? No KYC, no waiting for your deposit to credit into a centralized exchange, no, exorbitant fees, minimum withdrawals. Just do it from your own MetaMask wallet or whatever, right? From your ledger. It's just, I can't like kind of explain how incredible it is. And you can see it in the chart. Look at the chart. Look at 2019, right? It was nothing. And now 2020, we're doing more volume than centralized exchanges. This is the power of Ethereum. And this is what I was going on about before, about you can't value Ethereum. You can't value ETH. It's impossible, right? No one saw this coming, and no one's going to see the future coming. We're all bullish, right? We're all really bullish, but we're going to keep getting blown away. And that's the most exciting thing about Ethereum, is that we're going to keep getting blown away day in, day out, and nothing is going to take that away. No one can stop the Ethereum network. No one can take over it, right? Well, they can technically, but it's very, very hard to do that, right? And we're marching forward to this massive upgrade in ETH2. The first version's live. All this is coming. It's just so hard not to be bullish. I'm just so bullish today because we hit all-time high yesterday, and I've been on a high all day. Even though the price has come down a bit, I don't care. I am just on such a high, and I want to share that joy with all of you. And I hope that you're all as excited as I am, because this year is just going to be amazing. I think we're going to see so much happen on Ethereum, and I'm just so pumped for it. I will digress. I have gone very long with this refuel, but I hope you enjoyed it. Special, I guess, like after all-time high episode. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching and listening. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up, join the Discord, subscribe to the Daily Gwei newsletter, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.